All right, hello everyone. This is Mr. Elliott again from New Beginnings Family Academy, Miss Crowley's 6th grade class. And today is October 21st. We went over more of our ratio tables, and we actually started getting into taking the data that we get from the ratio tables and converting that into a plottable chart where we have the coordinate pairs. So this is what we actually, this first table is what we did in class. I'm just going to go over this first, and then I'll go over some of the homework that you have for tonight. So in the problem we did in class, it says the distance from Yonkers to Morgantown is 400 miles, and it takes 8 hours. So we see here Morgantown. Remember during class we wrote the different town destinations on the side of the table, so we could just clearly see where to plug in all of our information that it gives us. So we have information here, we have information here, okay? So we have 400 miles that it took to get to Morgantown, so we just entered that into our table. And then we had 8 hours, that was given to us. We entered that into our table. And then I also believe, what you don't see here, but you should have on your worksheet, it also gave us the distance for all of these others. So the miles and distance for Allentown, I believe, was 100 miles. Carlisle was 200 miles. Berkeley was 300 miles. Okay, so we needed to figure out how much time did it take to get to these other destinations. So we first needed to find out what was the ratio value of this table. And we're going to find that out by looking here at the ratio, the data that they gave us. So we knew it took 400 miles. For 400 miles, it took us 8 hours to travel that distance. So we have 400 to 8, okay? Now we find out the value of what that actually is by doing what? By dividing the 400 by 8. If we divide 400 by 8, then we also had to do that to both sides of the ratio, right? So we divide that by 8. So we know we had to divide both sides by 8. Those canceled out. That gave us a 1 here on that side of the ratio. 400 divided by 8, we figured out that that was 50. Okay? So now, what we started with was a distance of 400 miles would take me 8 hours. Now when I break that down, I can see, well, if I travel 50 miles, that takes 1 hour. Or you could state it in reverse. For every hour I travel, I'll travel 50 miles. For every hour, it'll be 50 miles. 8 hours, we traveled 400 miles. Remember, what we started with, the most important thing, is we started with information the word problem already gave us. So we just plugged that in. Now, we have the miles given to us in all the rest of the parts of the table, and we just have to figure out the hours. Well, by doing that, we continue to divide by what? Our ratio value of 50. So for 300 miles, how would we figure out the hours that went there? Just as we did in class, we continue to divide by 50. So I had 300, I divided that by 50. And we discovered that that was 6. So it would take 6 hours to travel 300 miles. Same with 200 miles, we're dividing by 50. Same with 100 miles, we're dividing by 50. This is how we're getting the data there. We also in class, we extended the table. So we extended the table to figure out, okay, what if we wanted to travel further? We wanted to travel past Morgantown, and we wanted to travel 500 miles, let's say. Okay, so I'm going to continue to still, no matter how big this number is here, no matter how far the distance I want to travel, I'll always be able to determine how long it'll take me in hours by simply dividing by the value of the ratio value. That would have gave me 10. 500 divided by 50 would have been 10, and so on. $700 divided by 50, 800 divided by 50, and that's what you have there for our classwork. We also, in class, we did a similar table like this, and we started to actually plot them on a chart, and we had an extra column called for the coordinates. That extra column was kind of like this on the side. So this is actually your number one problem on the homework for tonight. And so I'm just going to add that coordinate column right here. And remember, the coordinates was X and Y. Okay? So for number one on your homework, you have each pie uses 3 cups of sugar. It's not exactly worded this way. I'm merely abbreviating the information that they gave you. It says, find the number of cups of sugar needed. If for each pie Carrie makes, she has to use 3 cups of sugar. Each pie uses 3 cups of sugar. We're just taking out the important information in the word problem, and then we're going to plug it in. So your chart on your homework, it just gives you the number of pies, but it doesn't give you anything here in the column for cups of sugar. But in our word problem, we know for each pie, or one pie, it uses 3 cups of sugar. So what do I put here for this first box? Under cups of sugar, I know that's going to be a 3 because the word problem gives me that. It tells me for each pie I need 3 cups of sugar. So now I have 2 pies. Okay? How am I going to figure out what goes here in this column? Is by first figuring out what the value of the ratio is. So how do I get from 1 to 3? I'm going to multiply by 3, right? That's how I can make that 1 to 3. So if I do that here, that means I have to continue to do that and follow that same step along the way for every number of pies that it provides me in the table. So for 2 pies, how do I find out how many cups of sugar I need? I'm going to multiply by 3, by the ratio value. 2 times 3, 6. 3 pies. How many cups of sugar do I need for 3 pies? 3 times 3, 9. How many cups of sugar do I need for 4 pies? Continue to multiply by 3. Continue to multiply by 3. Multiply by 3. Okay? So now, on your homework, you'll see a little chart you have here. This is a grid that we use to plot the coordinates. This is going to be our X and our Y here. And we decided that pies will represent X. What comes next? Cups of sugar. That'll be our Y. Remember, the X-axis is what runs from side to side, that horizontal line. The Y-axis is this right here, up and down, vertically. That represents the Y-axis. So my first coordinates will be what? Pies to cups of sugar, right? It should be 1, 3. That's the point I should be plotting. 1, 3. So I'm going to go 1 space over on the X-axis, right? Because remember, the first number is the X, seen there? Okay, so I'm going to come to the 1, and then I'm going to look to move up to number 3 on the Y-axis. So here's 1. If I move over 1, come up 3, right there. That plot is pointed for the first relationship, or the first set of numbers we see here, the ratio of 1 to 3. Now I want to plot this ratio, this 2 to 6, okay? So what's going to be my coordinate pair, right? It's going to be 2, comma, 6. The X is represented by the 2, the Y is represented by the 6. So I'm going to start off what? By coming over on the X-axis 2 points to the number 2, and then I'm going to dot up all the way up. How far up the Y-axis? I'm going to go all the way up to number 6 on the Y-axis. That'll give me a point there. We're going to continue to do the same thing all the way down, plotting these points. All right? So hopefully this video helps you guys. Remember, I know sometimes I talk quickly, but the great thing about having a video is you can rewind it as many times as you want, pause it, stop. I'm not going to fill in or give you guys the rest of the answers, but with this, in combination with a review of the classwork, you should be able to fill out the rest of the homework. And remember, Ms. Crowley wants you to skip the double number line. Do not do the double number line. And we will see you on Monday. You guys have a good weekend.